All right, I'm just commenting on a discussion I was having. Somebody was asking about phase conjugation and quantum coherence, and so I said I'd look into it, and I found a military scientist who then references his colleague Louis Kauffman, and I've corresponded with math professor Louis Kauffman several times, starting with my discovery of his collaborator Eddie Oshins, who taught Neigong at the Stanford through the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center, and his discovery of quantum psychology as based on noncommutativity. So, Lou Kauffman, I just was reading his blog because I had never read his blog before, and he's talking about Spenser-Brown, who wrote on set theory and the logic of mathematics, and this ties back into Eddie Oshins and what is phase, because Lou Kauffman, he points out that when you look at the paradoxes of the empty set in mathematics, that Bertrand Russell and Kurt Gödel, they realized that the set theory that George Cantor was relying on has a paradox in it. The set that contains no sets, something like that. It's the empty set of no sets. And at any rate, the Spenser-Brown, according to Luke Kauffman, Spenser-Brown says that his solution to this is to think of it in time instead of as space. And so if you define this like the letter R as the empty set, as soon as you think of the letter R, then it's no longer empty anymore. And because it's no longer empty, therefore it's not R anymore, it's R prime. And so just the thinking process itself is it's a creation process. And so of the symbols of mathematics that arise out of the emptiness, and the emptiness itself is not thinking. And so then Luke Kauffman, in his work with Eddie Oshins, they relate this back to quantum physics as non-commutativity, based on the square root of -1 as the imaginary number. So most people think of the imaginary number as a complex phase of time defined by the spatial geometry. So you have a 720 degree geometry, which is two rotations of the sphere, and this is the Bloch sphere used in quantum physics. But the 1/2 spin of the electron is actually the imaginary number that's non-commutative in time and frequency. So it inherently can't be observed. And what Lou Kauffman is pointing out is logically this means it is neither this nor that. So it's a double negative. And Eddie Oshins, he calls this not a nor nor not neither A nor not A. Neither A nor not A. So it's a double negation. And but since that's occurring within time, then that process, it's automatically creates a observation of a distinction, and as a self creation. And so this observation is actually it's not yet matter, it's just mind as light, as photon. In quantum physics, it's the photon. And so this is how light is eternally created out of the emptiness, out of the void. And so this void then is a newly discovered force that's called a spin force. But the whole point of Basil J. Hiley and David Bohm and Jack Sarfati is that this spin force is non-local. It's inherently non-local because at the 0 point in space-time, there already is the future and the past overlapping. And so how can we justify that if we don't know the spatial boundary of the time? Because normally time is a variable and there's no absolute time in science due to relativity. But we can justify it through what Louis Kauffman is talking about, that it's neither the future nor the past, but it's an eternal noncommutative creation. And this is what I call the listening process in music. So it's the future harmonizing with the past, and the deeper you go into that through listening, then the more light is created, and then the stronger that the power is, and then you can actually create space-time out of this deeper process of what Louis Kauffman calls primordial time. So when we think of non-commutative phase, therefore, is actually a process of quantum algebra in pure time. It's not a spatial phase that can be reversed. And this is the whole problem with the phase conjugation analysis. It doesn't in a lot of the alternative science scene, they're trying to do it using complex numbers without realizing that the origin of the square root of -1 is actually in pure time. That's a non-commutative time algebraic process. And this is what Basil J. Hiley calls it pre-space. And it's also defined as the inner cross products of the matrices. So it's also called inner automorphism because it exists before the collapse of the wave function in quantum physics. And if you maintain the non-commutativity, then you don't have to have any wave function even. It's just a non-local matrices that, and since it's non-commutative, it's not limited to the quantum scale. And this was Eddie Oshins' big point, is that you can then, the whole body and the mind can then be transformed through the practice of Neigong, and what he taught was Wing Chun, which is the lineage of Bruce Lee. So the emptiness can be then embodied as this new type of force that's also non-local. So it's the fifth dimension as time. So it's neither inside nor outside. But it's experienced holographically. So there's an internal an external translation at the speed of light holographically. That gives the illusion of a energy blockage through matter, but that blockage is then removed through the meditation process of then reversing the illusion of the matter blockage. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Thanks.